welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks. Today we are going to be doing Steve Carlson's Competition. Now, what Steve wanted was an album that was given to you or an album you were convinced to buy by somebody that opened up new worlds of music to you. I'm going to cheat on this in just a tiny bit, but I think it's well within the spirit of what Steve wanted. So I'm going to start with a friend of mine, a comedy writer and a music reviewer named Marianne Meyer. And when she wasn't working in LA as a comedy writer, she was back east, and she would send me music, either on vinyl or on CD. And one day I got this EP in the mail by a band she was convinced was going to be the next big thing. And it didn't turn out that they were the next big thing, but they certainly deserved that. And that band is the Old 97s. And I have, this is Graveyard Whistling. And I have Most Messed Up. I also have the new one. This is 12. Great band. Just didn't get their due, haven't gotten their due because they're still around. And if you don't have an opportunity to see the entire band, you can't go wrong with Rhett Miller. This is The Messenger. I also have The Traveler, and I'm also backtracking on Rhett's records to pick them all up on vinyl as well, because all of them are within the CD era. And talk about frustrating, right, guys? And the next person on my list is a cheat on the cheat. He is a friend of mine now, but I did not know him at the time that he was inspiring me to a ton of new music. And it's David Marsden, and he was the, I think, the manager of CFMY Radio in Brampton, Ontario, which at the time was putting out music nobody else would play, new wave, punk, all kinds of different genres that the main radio stations wouldn't play. And the problem when I lived in Oshawa and it was in Brampton, didn't have a very good signal. So basically you were holding your aerial up trying to hear all these great songs, and it was not that easy. I'll go through some of the bands and artists that they used to play, and talk about half of my collection must be from the old CFMY days. And I've showed a couple of these before, but they are still, this is Louis Furet, his first 3 albums, brilliant stuff. And I've showed this before, and he's a friend of mine now, Bob Segarini. They used to play Gotta Have Pop on there all the time. Fabulous Poodles. This is a terrific band. First time I ever heard these guys, CFMY. Another Canadian, great B.B. Gabor. They used to play this album to death, and deservedly so. Amazing stuff on that album. Tom Robinson, I've done stuff on Tom's Power in the Darkness. North by Northwest is another just absolutely terrific album by him. Local artist, Robert Priest. I mean, this was the great thing about CFMY and David Marsden, is he would play guys like this. There's a song on this called Little Gun, which was about Nancy Reagan claiming she had a gun, but it was only a little one. And Robert knocked it out of the park with this song. It's an amazing song. And the only place you really could hear it was CFMY. And another guy I know now is Robbie Rocks. And this has a terrific song called The Brunch Bunch on it. And again, nobody was playing this stuff until CFMY did. Amazing. It's just an amazing time in music, and this was the absolute best channel to hear that music, thanks to David Marsden. This one, Fisher Z, forgot. This also, brilliant album, brilliant. I've got probably only 4 or 5 of the albums on vinyl, and the rest I have to go back and get because they're only available on CD. Okay, the next part is a cheat on a cheat, because what I have is, it's supposed to have 4, and what I really have is 5, but it is actually only 3, because these 3 are combined. It's Dave, and Paul. When I was in high school, these guys were major record collectors, and I had, a small, tiny collection, and they invited me into their cult. And we would go over to their houses, And we would listen to records, and they would teach me about all these bands they've discovered. And they taught me about cheapies. And cheapies, of course, were back in the day, you would have those discounted albums that, you had your regular priced albums for $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. And then you have the cheapies, which were $1.99, $2.99. And there was an amazing world of great stuff in the cheapies. And that's where I started. And then you start getting into more full priced albums and things. But just an amazing, they had discovered all this stuff and saved me the trouble of discovering it myself, because they played it to me. And just, they played this album. This is an amazingly good album, From the Fire by the Stampeders. Listened to this just the other day. Horribly underrated band, even though they did have quite a bit of success. Murray McLaughlin, of course, great Canadian artist. Another great Canadian artist, Mainline. We actually even performed one of these songs in a high school cabaret together. Rhinoceros, these were cheapies back in the day. They cost about $20 now to get a good copy of this. But back in the day, these were cheapies, and you could get all three of them for probably $6. Lighthouse, there was this. There was One Fine Morning, the Lighthouse Live, and interestingly, see, this is GRT, which would have been a full-priced album because this is the Canadian pressing. But a lot of GRT were also produced in the United States by Evolution, the Evolution label. And you could get the Evolution copies of this album as cheapies. So you could get a ton of Lighthouse and a ton of a number of bands on the Evolution label that was shipped in from the States. And that's when you've only got a few bucks because you're in high school, that's the kind of thing you gravitate to. One of the major bands in my musical influences is the Straubs, Ghosts, Hero and Heroine, you name it, Under Witchwood, just an amazing band. Even this was a cheapie. John Sebastian, the four of us, we used to play this a lot. It was, of course, he's from the Loving Spoonful. There is a Canadian in the band, but he isn't the one. Another Canadian, World of Wonders, Bruce Cockburn. A lot of the early Bruce Cockburn we used to go by. A number of them were cheapies at the time, and not deserving, but Canadians never support their own stuff. And we were early into Queen. And because of this album, still probably my favorite Queen album, Queen 2. The guys put this on, and the next time we were in Toronto in a used record store, I picked up a copy of this. This is a brand new copy because I'm sure that one, which is sitting in storage now, is probably not worth playing. So I did pick up another copy of this album. But those, along with Rush, the first Rush album, they were way into that before anybody else. BTO 1 before the big hits, the James Gang, Uriah Heep, Ken Hensley from Uriah Heep, Proud Words on a Dusty Shelf, an amazing album. Grand Funk, Closer to Home, We're an American Band. This is the kind of stuff that I ended up buying because of Dave, and Paul. So even though I've cheated just a tad, I hope it's within the spirit, Steve. And best of luck with this competition. I hope somebody far more deserving than me wins, though. If I do win, I'm certainly not going to give it back.